Okay. What is going on, everybody? I gotta remember we had a little technical difficulties when we started. First of all, if you didn't make the live session, I tried to wait a few minutes for you, but we're gonna get started. Want to thank you guys for being here. So many of you guys are new to this whole Charmed year. I haven't actually announced it to everyone yet, so if you're in this, there's probably about 7 or 8 of you here. Then feel really special at this moment. And I really want to create these monthly meetups. Today's the 22nd that we're hosting it, but it'll be on the 11th of every month. So 11th of every month at this same time, we'll have our meetups. And with these meetups, every week every month I want to come up with a topic that we're going to talk about. But more importantly, I'm showing up here for you all. I'm showing up here for you, basically, you watching this. And I want you, as you're going through these programs, as I said, at the end of April, starting in May, 100%, we are going to have something, for example, next session, the things we're talking about is manifestation. So the next program that'll be out, not the live session, the next program. So there's gonna be a bunch of things you'll see in a slot under April of 2021. It'll be all a manifestation. Have a lot of videos, a lot of things coming out for you for that. And what this is here is in these live sessions is for you guys to be able to ask questions, for you to ask questions, and for me to maybe ask you all some questions as well at the end of this. I won't be before you long tonight because this was a bonus one from the 11th of this month. And I'll be asking you questions as well based on what the topic is. But I want to create this to give people more access. I believe in giving out free content and everything, but I believe in charging for access. The access is something that's clutch. And I advise many people to do the same. The access to you is the most important thing, giving your time. So for me showing up here, it's to have a topic, to share me and you. It's more like a huddle for us to kind of come together. And at the same time, all that's intermingled with a group coaching. And at the same time, I want to make sure that you guys know there's not any rules. When it came to this, doing the live session, I was just like, I don't want to have rules. Rules are like limits as well. So where we put one rule up, we're limiting ourselves from something. Sometimes we're limiting ourselves from something good, and sometimes it's from bad. But I want to keep these things really open, and I want you guys to be able to feel free to be here, and I don't want to be like a stranger to you all. So today, the little mini topic, I want it to be 10 minutes, but some of you guys, if you're watching the replay or you've been in any other programs, it can kind of go longer. But today I just want to talk about intuition, just really quick. I think that intuition is something that's so important. And I hope that at the end of this really quick talk, that you'll be encouraged to use it more. And for you to be able to, once you figure out what it is, as I'm about to explain to you, you'll be able to find out where you didn't use it and see what it cost you. And you'll be able to see in the past where you did use it and it saved you from something. So just really quick, and I had a bunch of notes and I had them on my computer, but I kind of want to speak from the heart about intuition. And I feel like a lot of people need this right now. I feel in our society that a lot of people are having to deal with a lot of decisions, a lot of big decisions that they have to make, and a lot of choices that are going to really determine where they're going to go in their life. Like every decision we make has consequences, good or bad. But sometimes we make a decision and we don't see it as that big of a decision, like a line. Imagine a line coming at you like this. But someone who makes a decision, it's like this, where it's okay. But as you keep going like this, that one decision changes a lot. And then as you make decisions on those paths, you kind of veer off at different altitudes, and two decisions can lead you in two different places. And one of the best ways that I heard someone explain this to me was if you have an airplane that's taken off from Los Angeles, California, and it's flying to Sydney, an airplane flying to Sydney, if it's off by 1 degree, just 1 degree, it misses the continent of Australia by 2,000 miles. That's true fact. By 2,000 miles, it misses the entire continent. Not because my light is like dying. not because it just picked the wrong degree off by 1 degree. There was the duration of it. So the beliefs that we have in ourselves, the decisions that we have to make, if we make them, we'll always end up in a different place. And I think it's something that's so important because we make these decisions and we don't know who to listen to. Our brain is telling us, don't do it. That's weird. You've never done that before. And our brain talks us out of our intuition. So one thing about intuition is it's the quiet voice. It's the quiet voice. The intuition is usually the voice that speaks first. That's the intuition. It's when you think you should do something, you get a yes or a no, and it's quiet. And then that's the one you really need to listen to so many times, because you have the ego that speaks up first, because our brain is always thinking safety. So when we have a decision we have to make, this is how you know it's intuition, because it's quiet. And it doesn't make sense. The intuition does not make sense. And if you were to explain your intuition to somebody, if you were to explain to someone, well, this is what I think I'm going to do. If they're like, wait, what? You're going to do what? This usually means it's your intuition. And I think that is something that's so important for people to understand, because then you don't feel so bad for doing something that doesn't make sense. And for having other people say that it doesn't make sense to them, that doesn't mean anything. The intuition's quiet. So the part of your brain, your soul, it always knows what to do all the time. Every single moment you're being guided. Every moment. When you miss a green light and you're stuck at a red light, you're like, damn it, I missed this light again. You're being saved from something or protected from something. But whenever something happens, you have to make a decision. The first voice, intuition, very quiet. But then the second voice is protection. So that second voice that comes to your mind is like, nope, don't take that trip, because it's your brain trying to keep you safe. And then the third voice, I believe there's three voices. And the third one is kind of like your ego, being like, nah, you got this, no problem. But you go into it with a lot of fear. The second one, you go into it with a lot of worry because you shouldn't do it. But if you listen to that first one, your intuition, that always knows what to do, that's always guiding you, then you'll realize that there's nothing to ever worry about. Whatever situation you get in, whatever problem you have, you always have the answer. So many times we look for the answer on the outside perspective, like we look for the answer somewhere else, or we look for a sign. I know a lot of people, I'm looking for a sign, I just need the sign. But so many times I always believe in your desire to want to do something as a sign. And the sign always comes after you take the action. So let's say your intuition tells you to take that trip, but you're scared to do it. So you don't do the trip and you wait for a sign. But if you do it, you're going to get a feeling. Everything you do is going to bring a feeling back to you. And the feeling that comes back to is the sign. And that's how you know it's your intuition. It doesn't make sense. And when you do it, you're going to get a feedback. And so many times with one of my clients, I love it because we spent a lot of time trying to get their strategy for how they make their decisions. And one of the things that I have people do is I have them take a scary action. And before they do the scary action, I have them write down how they feel before. And one person I work with, they wrote, super scared, super nervous. It's going to be the worst time ever. I'm going to be embarrassed. And then they do it. Then I have them write down how they feel after. And this time they put excited. That was so easy. Why did I wait so long? What's going on? And when you realize that, you're just like, wait a minute. And I hadn't planned to tell them this, but I was like, hey, listen, we just found your formula. We just found your formula. Being nervous, being scared, worried people are going to judge you. And how did you get to excited? That wasn't so bad. I feel free. There was something in the middle there that happened. And I always am like, what did you do? What did you do? Because we have the formula, we're missing the second part. And they're just like, I took this scary action. I took the scary action. That's what they did. So we realize that when we start to feel nervous, scared, confused, then we haven't listened to that first voice, our intuition. Our first voice telling us like, hey, it's going to be okay. The first voice being like, do it. But then the second voice wants to keep you safe. So it's going to be like, don't. You've never done it before. Don't. People are going to look at you. People are going to judge you. So we don't do it. Then the third one's like, well, you need to do it at some point in time, but do it with a lot of pride. And that takes the love out of what you need to do. And I think it's so important because having this intuition and using it, and you'll realize that it's not just what you do and the decisions that you make, but once you start to feel that feeling of intuition, it tells you what to say. It tells you what to say and you don't even realize it. because you just trust that it has something, it has something that you don't know about. It just knows. It just knows. It knows about you, but it knows about other people as well. I can give you a really good example. And I'm still working on this myself. I was leaving the gym the other day and I was walking out and these two girls turned the corner right when I was walking. And I was like, oh, hey, they're like, hey. And something like just hit me, like not physically, but like like gave it like a ping in my heart. And I just looked at them, I was like, hey, be careful driving today. And the second girl was like, what? I was like, no, not you, the person in the front of you. She's like, what, me? What's wrong? I was like, I don't know. Just be careful today. And she was just like, "Oh, okay, okay. And in the past, I never would say something like that. That's so creepy. It's so weird to say. Because I don't know, like, don't do that. You know, like in the, I don't know, I heard this comedian, I think it was Dane Cook, who used this joke, like, he's like, there's a joke he uses that he never will use again. He used to just walk by people who were about to take a bus or a flight and be like, don't get on it, don't take it. And they're just like, whoa, 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 whoa. But it has the same reverse effect if you want to help somebody out. You know, I might have it here. I'm going to show you guys something. I haven't told a lot of people what I do, but I do it all the time. I need to do it more. So I have this little booklet, and it's full of blank pieces of paper. Like there are little notes like this. I can tear it off and write something on it. And I was told by someone that I needed this. And what they told me to do with this is they told me to, anytime I felt something and needed to tell someone something, to make them a note and give it to them. And I was like, I don't know, that sounds pretty stupid. I don't know about that. Like I already talk enough to every single human who I see. I don't need to start sending notes to people. And they're like, no, you need to do it. So I said, okay. And I brought it. And I was at a store. I was at one of my favorite cafes. And I just saw this girl. She was sitting on the outside and she just looked like sad. I felt sadness. And I wrote on this piece of paper, I wrote, you are enough. And I went to walk out of the cafe and I just tore it off and handed it to her. And she was sitting at the table with somebody. Someone was sitting there by the time I handed it to them. And they just like looked up and they started crying. Not in a hard crying, bawling out, but they just had tears in their eyes. Like they were about to, and they left, they went to the bathroom. And actually I knew this person, I'd seen them one time before. And they wrote me later telling me, thank you so much for that. But I remember the feeling of, before I gave it to them, it was like, don't do it. That's stupid. You don't know this person really well. What are you going to send them this for? And my intuition was like, tell them this. Send this to them. And we don't ever know the ripple effect when that happens. So as you listen to your intuition, the thing I want to challenge you all with is know that intuition is not only going to allow you to be helped and I'll teach you and help guide you, but because of you, your intuition will help guide other people. And here's the thing that's different about our intuition and our brain up here. Our intuition has no fear. It has no fear. Our mind has fear. Our mind says, don't talk to that person you don't know. Don't go to that place you've never been. Don't do that thing you've never done. But the intuition is not scared. It doesn't have fear, it doesn't know fear. It guides you, it's what it's there for. So the challenge for you all listening to this and you all watching the replay is to really listen to the first voice. That first voice that you have to sometimes be quiet to hear it. That's why having quiet time to yourself is really great, because you can really hear your intuition. There's nothing that you need to keep safe from, and there's no ego that needs to be showing itself off. And the question that I have for you all, and I'd love for you guys to write this down, send me an email. A lot of you all here have different ways to contact me. Send it to me. I want to hear. But I want you to think of this for yourself. I just want you to think about a time where your intuition saved you. That would be the question of tonight. I want you to think of a time when your intuition saved you. Now, there's no assignment. There's no work you have to do. But I want you to know, to write it down. As you write it down, I want you to know what came through your body as that happened. What was the things that kind of passed through as you follow your intuition? and it didn't make sense, but it knew what to do when you listened to it, even though you were scared. And the result turned out the way you wanted it to, and better than you wanted to. So it's just a challenge. I challenge you guys to do this. Go on a rant to yourself, and you'll be surprised how many times you listen to that small voice without knowing, and amazing things happen in your life. So I just wanted to share that with you. If you're here on the live, wait, I'm going to pause the recording. So the people who have watched the recording, thank you so much, and I'll speak to you. But really, truly think of times where your intuition saved you. It saved your life many times. For so many of you, 2020, there was some kind of intuition, something you were told or something you were shown and you did it. And that really saved you from being as low as you could be possibly in 2020, for example. I want you to think about that, feel it, realize what you felt like when that intuition came, because you're just getting to know it now. That's what this is for. Right now, you're getting to know what your intuition feels like. But if you've never been aware of it, then you don't know. So as you start to think of it, well, I was really nervous. Like for me, I was really nervous. I had a great career, didn't make sense to leave it. I had great money, wasn't a sense to leave it. I had security, safety, familiarity, all that stuff that didn't make sense to leave it. But my intuition was telling me to go. And I did it. And I met a lot of people, traveled to a lot of places. Then 2020 happened, I couldn't go back to that job. But if I'd been playing, I would have been stuck in that job. And my job stopped. And I've been stuck. So the question is, I could go through my story and figure out exactly what my formula was. It was a small voice. I was happy, but there was a small voice there. And we take time to listen to that small voice. That's always your guide. I think it will end on the quote from Pinocchio. I think it was Geppetto who said, like, always let your conscience be your guide, because it knows. Even if we don't know, our intuition knows. And I want to encourage you guys, let me pick this up without dropping it. I want to encourage you all to use your intuition. You have it, it's there, and it always works for you. Everyone watching the replay, thank you so much for being here. See you on the 11th. The link is below here. Hopefully see more of you on the live session on the 11th at 9 p.m. Bali time, OTC time, same time as this week. Love you guys.